If given the opportunity, would you want to fly on the Dream Chaser?
Yeah. Oh, sure I would. You know, and I get asked that all the time. Are you going to fly it? Well, the way I always answer that is, you know, I'm director of flight operations, so I kind of make those decisions. And the rule I'm going to have is whoever's the most qualified that we have is the one that's going to fly that, or the people that are going to fly it are the most qualified people we have. If that happens to be me, then I will fly it. If it's somebody else, then they will fly it and I won't. So I didn't come to Sierra Nevada on the Dream Chaser team so that I could personally go fly the Dream Chaser. I came to do everything in my power to make the program a success and see that we get back into orbit and do it safely. So if, you know, in the flight test program, if I'm the most qualified, then I'll fly it. When we get to that first flight in space, if I'm the most qualified, then I'll fly it. If I'm not, somebody else is, then that person's going to fly it, because I'm more interested in the success of the program than any kind of personal goal or objective associated with this program. No, I think we're entering an exciting phase. It's a challenging phase right now with, of course, budgets the way they are, and with the shuttle program ending, and you know, we're currently relying on Russians for rides. The cost per seat's only going up, and you know, I'm hopeful that you know, all of us commercial companies that are competing, that we can deliver products that can bring the business back to the United States, and give us a capability to do it. The other thing I'd like to leave people with is there's a lot of politics and back and forth about commercial crew versus government programs, and if you really look at it, it's not very different. You know, commercial companies have built every spacecraft we've ever flown, all the way back from Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, shuttle, station. Everything we've ever flown had been built by commercial companies. All we're talking about that's different here is in this initial phase, we've been doing it through a different contracting mechanism, which has allowed us to move faster, invest our own funds alongside the government's, keep prices controlled, and make a lot of progress for not a lot of money. In the next phase, even a commercial crew, you know, the government still has control over requirements, and certainly safety requirements, and we have to meet all those or we won't fly. So when we get to this next phase, it's not much different than what we've been doing before. So there's a lot of emotion around this, but the truth is how we're actually doing it, not much different. For our company in Sierra Nevada, we have government insight all the time. We have government folks that are experts in spaceflight living with us, working with us, helping us, and maintaining insight on everything we're doing. So what we're doing is really not that much different than before. And from a personal perspective, you know, as my primary job when I was chief of the astronaut, which I did for 3 years through probably about 15 shuttle missions and another 10 space station missions, is my #1 focus was crew safety, making sure my crews got up and got down safely and no harm came to them. We did everything as safely and as smartly as we could. And coming to this company to do this job, my philosophy is exactly the same. You know, my friends will be flying this someday, and I want to protect them just like I worked to protect them when I was on the government side as chief of the office.
That makes me want to ask you, does the Dream Chaser have a launch abort system, and if so, what kind?
It certainly does. The Dream Chaser, we fly. We have a couple of hybrid motors that are the same size and same type of motors that Spaceship One used. In fact, we provided the rocket motors for Spaceship One, and we're providing them for Spaceship Two. So we have a couple of hybrid motors, and we actually have, you know, what's called intact abort capability all the way up to orbit. So no matter where we are in the trajectory, if there's a problem with the rocket booster below us, we shut down that booster and we use our engines. We actually abort off of that rocket, and we'll always be in a position where we can make a runway all the way up the East Coast, up to into Newfoundland, and eventually you get fast enough that we can cross the ocean and land over in Ireland or someplace like that. And then if you get a little faster than that, you can make it up to orbit. So we have abort capability all the way through the profile from sitting on the pad through orbit.